50 Berkeley Square, London, a grand facade in an affluent neighborhood, but behind the elegant exterior lies a dark heart. This is no ordinary residence. It is known as the most haunted house in London. Some say in all of England. For centuries, whispers of tragedy and terror have clung to this house. Unexplained noises, icy chills, and spectral apparitions have plagued its inhabitants. It is a place where the veil between our world and the next seems perilously thin. Built in the 18th century, 50 Berkeley Square has seen its share of occupants. This grand mansion, with its imposing architecture and intricate details, stands as a silent witness to the passage of time. Each brick and beam holds stories of those who once walked its halls, their lives intertwined with the very essence of the house, each one leaving behind their own mark on the house's sinister history. The rooms, now filled with dust and decay, echo with the whispers of the past. The once vibrant laughter and conversations have been replaced by an eerie silence, a silence that seems to hold secrets too dark to be spoken aloud. Some say the hauntings began in the early 19th century. It was during this time that the house's reputation took a dark turn. Stories of ghostly apparitions and unexplained phenomena began to circulate, capturing the imagination of the public and cementing the house's place in local folklore. A young woman, driven mad by a cruel lover, is said to have leapt from the top floor window. Her tragic end became one of the most enduring tales associated with the mansion. The image of her desperate leap, frozen in time, serves as a grim reminder of the house's haunted past. Her despair, the story goes, soaked into the very fabric of the house. The walls, once pristine, now bear the stains of her sorrow. The air, thick with the weight of her anguish, seems to vibrate with an unseen energy, a testament to the depth of her suffering. Since then, a malevolent energy has lingered, preying on the living. Visitors have reported feeling an oppressive presence, as if the house itself is watching, waiting. Shadows move where there should be none, and the temperature drops suddenly, sending chills down the spine of even the bravest souls. The house seems to hold on to the darkness, refusing to let it go. It clings to the memories of pain and suffering, feeding off the fear of those who dare to enter. The very air seems to hum with a sinister energy, a constant reminder of the tragedies that have unfolded within its walls.
Softly, almost a whisper. I couldn't bear it any longer. The weight of the house's history pressed down on me, suffocating me with its relentless grip. Every creak of the floorboards, every flicker of the candlelight seemed to whisper my name, drawing me deeper into its dark embrace. The pain was too much. It felt as if the house itself was alive, feeding off my fear and despair. I could feel its malevolent presence wrapping around me, tightening its hold with every passing moment. The walls seemed to close in, and the air grew thick with an unspoken dread. I knew I had to escape, but the house had other plans. It wanted to keep me, to add my story to its collection of tragedies.
One of the most chilling tales associated with 50 Berkeley Square involves two sailors, Martin and Blunden. These two men, weary from their travels and seeking a place to rest, found themselves wandering the foggy streets of London late one night. Seeking lodging for the night, they stumbled upon the infamous address. The house, with its darkened windows and eerie silence, seemed like a perfect place to shelter from the cold. Unaware of its reputation, they took a room on the top floor, the scene of the young woman's demise. The room was small and sparsely furnished, with a narrow bed and a single window that looked out onto the deserted street below. As darkness fell, the temperature plummeted. The room, already cold, became almost unbearably frigid. The sailors huddled together for warmth, their breath visible in the icy air. An unnatural chill filled the air. Then it began. The room seemed to grow even colder, and a sense of dread settled over the two men. Strange noises like scratching and moaning emanated from the walls. The sounds were faint at first, barely audible over the howling wind outside, but they grew louder and more insistent. The sailors were gripped by an unshakable fear. They exchanged nervous glances, their eyes wide with terror.
"What is that sound?" Martin whispered, his voice trembling. "It's like nothing I've ever heard before," Blunden replied, his face pale.
"I don't know," Blunden said, his voice barely above a whisper. "But it's making my blood run cold." The two men sat in silence, listening to the eerie sounds that seemed to come from all around them. The scratching grew louder, and now there were other noises too. Faint whispers, like the voices of the dead, and a low, mournful wail that sent shivers down their spines. The candle they had lit flickered and danced, casting strange shadows on the walls. The room seemed to close in on them, the darkness pressing in from all sides. Martin and Blunden clung to each other, their fear growing with every passing moment. They knew they had to leave, but the thought of stepping out into the dark, haunted house was almost as terrifying as staying. Finally, summoning all their courage, they decided to make a run for it. They crept to the door, their hearts pounding in their chests. As they opened the door, it creaked loudly, echoing through the silent house. They ran down the hallway, the eerie sounds following them, growing louder and more frantic. Bursting out of the front door, they didn't stop running until they were far away from 50 Berkeley Square. The house loomed behind them, dark and silent once more, but the memory of that night would haunt them forever.
The sailors' ordeal had just begun. The night was thick with fog, and the air was heavy with an eerie silence that seemed to press down on them. The old mansion loomed ahead, its windows like dark, empty eyes staring into their souls. A shadowy figure materialized in the room. It was as if the darkness itself had come to life, taking on a form that was both human and otherworldly. The figure moved with a slow, deliberate grace, its presence sending chills down their spines. It lunged towards them, its touch said to be deathly cold. The sailors could feel the temperature drop around them, the air turning frigid as the ghostly hand reached out. They recoiled in horror, their breath visible in the sudden cold. Terrified, Martin and Blunden fled into the night. Their footsteps echoed in the empty streets, the fog swallowing their forms as they ran. The fear was palpable, a living thing that drove them onward, away from the haunted house. They sought refuge at a nearby coffee house. The warmth and light of the place were a stark contrast to the cold, dark terror they had just escaped. They huddled together, their hands shaking as they recounted their ordeal to the sympathetic patrons. One sailor, driven mad by the experience, was committed to an asylum. The horrors he had witnessed had shattered his mind, leaving him a shell of the man he once was. He spent his days muttering about the shadowy figure, his eyes wide with fear. The other, haunted by the memory, died just a few days later. The terror had taken its toll on his body and soul, leaving him unable to escape the nightmare that had become his reality. His grave stood as a silent testament to the horrors of that night. Their encounter cemented the house's reputation as a place of true evil. Stories of the haunted mansion spread, each tale more terrifying than the last. The house became a symbol of fear, a place where the line between the living and the dead was blurred.
Run! We have to get out of here. The urgency in their voices was unmistakable, a desperate plea to escape the clutches of the supernatural terror that pursued them.
I can't shake this feeling. The dread was overwhelming, a constant presence that gnawed at their sanity. Every shadow seemed to hide a threat, every sound a potential danger. It's like it's still following us. The feeling of being watched, of being hunted, never left them. It was as if the shadowy figure had marked them, a curse that would follow them to the ends of the earth. The terror of that night had become a part of them, a dark shadow that would never fade.
But Martin and Blunden were not the only ones to suffer the wrath of 50 Berkeley Square. Over the years, countless others reported similar experiences.
Servants refused to enter certain rooms. Guests fled in terror.
One account tells of a maid who encountered a ghastly apparition. She was thrown down the stairs, the unseen force leaving her badly injured. The house seemed to lash out at anyone who dared to stay within its walls. As the years passed, the stories multiplied. 50 Berkeley Square became notorious. Its reputation as a haunted house spread far and wide. Even those who scoffed at tales of the supernatural avoided the address. The house seemed to thrive on fear. It fed off the terror of its occupants, growing stronger with each chilling encounter. It became a place of legend, a cautionary tale whispered in hushed tones. Section 7 sealed off. Eventually, the upper floors of 50 Berkeley Square were permanently sealed off. The rooms where so much terror had unfolded were deemed too dangerous. Some say it was to protect the living from the house's evil. Others believe it was to contain the darkness that resided within those walls. Whatever the reason, the upper floors remain off limits to this day, a chilling reminder of the horrors that transpired within. Section 8. A haunting reputation. Today, 50 Berkeley Square stands as a testament to London's haunted past. Its elegant facade hides a sinister history. Tourists still stop by, drawn to its chilling reputation. They whisper stories of the sailors, the ghostly apparitions, and the sealed-off rooms.
The house has become a landmark of the macabre, a place where the line between fact and fiction blurs. It is a reminder that some places hold on to their secrets, and some stories refuse to be silenced.
Section 9. Respect for the unknown. 50 Berkeley Square serves as a chilling reminder the world is full of mysteries. Places where the veil between our world and the next is thin. We should treat such places with respect, not with fear, but with a healthy dose of caution. For some doors are best left unopened, some secrets are best left buried, and some places are best admired from afar. Section 10. An enduring enigma. The haunted house on Berkeley Square continues to fascinate and frighten. Its stories pass down through generations, a chilling reminder that some things cannot be explained, and some places will forever be shrouded in mystery. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, 50 Berkeley Square stands as a testament to the power of stories and the enduring human fascination with the unknown.